The boy who could control the tides was only 8 years old. His name was Noah, and he lived in a small coastal town in Indonesia. One day, when he was playing on the beach, he found a beautiful seashell. When he put it to his ear, he heard the sound of the waves crashing. And since that day, whenever Noah held this magical seashell, he could hear the whispers of the ocean. It told him about the tides and the fishes, and even the dangerous creatures that lurked beneath the surface. One day, Noah's dad took him and his cousin Luna on a fishing trip off the coast of their village. The sky was blue and the water sparkled under the bright sun. All three of them got into the boat and rowed out to sea. Suddenly, Noah heard a loud crack. The ocean around them started swirling, and a gigantic whirlpool formed right before their eyes. He knew something strange was happening because the whispers of the ocean were getting louder. "Hold on tight!" shouted Noah's dad. Just then, a giant sea monster reared its head out of the water. Its scales were green and slimy, its eyes glowed red, and its sharp teeth glistened in the sunlight. This was a Nuri, a creature of legend known for causing whirlpools and dragging ships down to the watery grave. The Nuri grabbed the shell from Noah's hand and swallowed it whole. Then it disappeared back into the depths with a flick of its powerful tail. Noah felt helpless without his magical seashell. How could they stop the Nuri? How could they save their village? But then he had an idea. He would have to use his wits and courage to outsmart the Nuri and protect his home. So Noah quickly explained his plan to his father. They raced towards the shore, eager to put Noah's plan into action. When they arrived, the beach was deserted. The villagers had fled to higher ground, fearing the worst. The giant sea monster had flooded the entire beach. Houses were underwater and the streets were impassable. People were standing on the hill, watching in horror as the seawater kept rising, but Noah wasn't giving up. He knew the tides would come back, but he didn't know how long it would take. He needed to do something now. He remembered what the shell had told him about the tides and realized he could use that knowledge to help him defeat the Nuri. The water was receding faster than they could run. Soon the monster's lair was within reach, but just as they neared the end of the cave, the monster snarled, "Return my shell, or your village drowns." Noah held his ground. He had a few tricks up his sleeve. First, he made a circle on the ground with a piece of coral. This coral grew into a net, and Noah used all his strength to pull it taut. Then he put some bait in the middle of the circle. The lure consisted of thousands of little fish that were normally too quick for the nets, but today they were easy prey. The monster lunged for the bait, but the net trapped its powerful limbs. As the villagers watched in suspense, Noah slowly approached the writhing creature. With a deep breath, he reached out and touched the monster's head. Immediately, the water around them began to swirl, mimicking the movement of the tides. The monster roared in anger, thrashing about in a desperate attempt to free itself from the coral net. However, the tighter it struggled, the more tangled it became. Taking advantage of the situation, Noah directed the flow of water, guiding the coral net until it formed a complete barrier around the sea monster. At that moment, the swirling water stopped and an eerie silence fell over the beach. Everyone waited with bated breath to see what would happen next. Would the monster break free, or would Noah's tide magic hold? Suddenly, the monster let out a loud snort, and the water around the net began to bubble. With a mighty splash, the sea monster broke free from the coral net and surged forward. It opened its mouth wide, ready to devour anyone in its path. But instead of attacking, it did something unexpected. It let out a loud roar that echoed across the ocean. Then, with a flick of its powerful tail, it disappeared into the water. Relief washed over Noah as he watched the monster swim away. He had outsmarted it and protected his village, but his adventure was not over yet. He still had to get the shell back from the Nuri. But where would a grumpy sea monster hide a valuable seashell? The answer came to him like a wave crashing on the shore. He remembered what the shell had told him about the tides and realized that the Nuri must have hidden it somewhere underwater. So Noah, along with his cousin and his dad, jumped into the water and began searching for the missing shell. As they swam deeper into the ocean, the water grew colder and darker. Suddenly, Noah spotted something glinting in the dim light filtering through the water above. He dove down and found the seashell nestled in a crevice in the coral reef. Overjoyed, Noah tucked the seashell under his shirt and swam to the surface. Back on the beach, the villagers cheered as the water began to recede. The houses reappeared and the streets were freed from water. As the people celebrated, Noah looked out at the ocean. knowing that he had found his purpose. He was the protector of the tides and the keeper of the seashell. And as long as he had it, he would keep the ocean in balance. He had faced the Nuri and won. He had saved his village and restored the tides. Noah was a hero, an 8-year-old boy who could control the tides. The next day, Noah woke up early and went to the beach. He wanted to check on the ocean and make sure everything was okay after the battle with the Nuri. The water was calm and peaceful, sparkling in the morning light. Noah smiled, knowing that he had done his job well. He spent the day playing with his friends, building sandcastles and splashing in the shallow water. As the sun began to set, Noah sat on the beach watching the colors paint the sky. He thought about the magical shell and the power it gave him. He knew that he was different, that he had a special gift, but he also knew that with great power comes great responsibility. He promised himself that he would always protect the ocean, the tides, and the creatures that lived there. As darkness fell, Noah walked home, hand in hand with his dad. They talked about the day, and Noah shared his plans for the future. He wanted to learn more about the ocean, to understand its power and its beauty. He wanted to be the best tide master the world had ever seen. Noah's dad smiled, knowing that his son had found his passion. He hugged Noah tightly and told him how proud he was. That night, Noah couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned in his bed, his mind racing with thoughts of the ocean. Finally, he got out of bed and tiptoed to the window. He looked out at the dark water and whispered, "Thank you, ocean, for teaching me so much. I promise to use my powers for good." And as the first rays of sunlight peeked over the horizon, Noah got dressed and headed for the beach. He put on his favorite swim trunks with wave patterns and his trusty flip-flops. He was ready for another day of adventure, ready to embrace his destiny as the boy who could control the tides. In the end, Noah's journey taught him the importance of ecological awareness and the courage it takes to protect the natural world. He showed us that even the smallest of us can make a big difference when we stand up for what we believe in. And with a heart full of wonder and a seashell in his pocket, Noah continued his adventures, forever connected to the rhythm of the tides. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. We can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching!